Welcome back to Shelby DIY. We're in the back area at Fabulous Finishes, and I have Katie here, our host, that is going to join us in the painting fun this morning. But what we're going to do today, we're going to just show a couple different ways that you can use a lot of these DIY paints on fabric. We get a lot of people that come into the store that they've seen a lot of stuff on Pinterest and YouTube on can you paint your fabric. They have maybe an old stool or an old chair and it's really finely upholstered, and to have it redone you'd have to pay a lot of money. And we have done fabric. The paints will adhere. People typically are unfamiliar with how the process would even go, kind of wrap your brain around what it would be like to paint fabric. But this was just one example that was at our old store that I had painted a seat and stenciled it just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. And then I saved it because we sold the chair and put like real pretty, bought some fabric. So this is one example on a canvas. I had this old pattern that actually there's two chairs, and I'm going to put like a pretty fabric on this as well, but I thought this would be a good way to just quickly demo using the paints and how you would apply it and how quickly it does go. This is our Botanical Paints by Caramel Colors. This paint has a number of subtle colors. This one is the Salvia. It's just a soft gray. And really I have my fabric, I have my natural bristle brush, and I am just going to start painting this fabric. And it's the first time I ever did this, I thought that I was going to be soaking paint right through and it was going to gush into all the foamy stuff underneath, and if I ever looked it would be just a yucky mess. But when I took the other chair apart that I had painted, I was really surprised that it doesn't really do that. It kind of just stops where it's at and it doesn't soak in and go through to the bottom. If you have an area where you feel like it's just kind of getting too dry and biting in, you can always just get a little bit of water to help you, move that paint again. And what you'll find with it is, if your fabric has a pattern like this, I didn't even realize it did, but you start to see it when you paint it. You'll see that pattern kind of coming through again. So if it's something like swirly circles and you don't want to see those anymore, well, you're still going to see them if you paint it a solid color. They're still going to kind of come through. But we've done this a number of times, and the pieces have actually sold, so it's not just like it's kind of ugly and just a quick fix. I wouldn't do it on something as big as like a sofa or like a big, huge upholstered chair, because to me, I just think it's still going to look painted. But it's a great fix for like fabric that you might have had that maybe somebody spilled something on. It was a decorative chair or a stool or a pillow, like pillows you have that get kind of faded and outdated, and you want to just change them up to something else. This is like an easy way to do it. So I'll just do half of this right now. And then as we work on some other stuff, this can just dry, and then we'll show the next step of what we could do with this, okay? But this would be kind of your application. If it goes on and your color doesn't really cover well and you want it to be more solid coverage, you could wait for it to dry. I wouldn't try to, take it and put it on like super heavy, because you're just going to have a mess. But you could wait for it to dry and then go back and do, like if I have some of these darker red flowers that are kind of popping through a little. So, this is kind of your way to do the fabric. Once it dries, you would put a top coat on it. We'll talk about that later. Another way that you can use paints like that, this was just a quick and easy, everybody has these types of things at home. They have like the fabric. This is actually a pretty functional box, but it's gotten kind of dirty at home. I saw it actually this morning, and then I thought, well, how silly, because I do like to use it, but the colors don't even really go in my house anymore. So I just used, this was the cottage paint. I used the lead color, same application, just brushed it on. It looks cool already, and then just did this. I did like that thicker plaster that we've shown before, did a cool stencil. I mean, just lickety split, can jazz it right up. So, if you have leftover paints, it's not like you would come and buy paint just to like let your kids play with it and stuff like that. But you know, painting fabric, you know, maybe your kid has a birthday party this summer and you want to do something, you know, affordable for the kids that are coming. You know, this is just like hand painting. We've done that before, but most of the time those paints don't adhere. And you know, or you got to buy fabric paint. So if you've had a project or you painted something like this turquoise color, and even the chalk paints that are typically supposed to be top coated, I was telling Katie, once you get them into fabric and you let them set, they don't wash out. So I mean, my clothes are all messed up, and I mean, they could finger paint, they could like spell their name, they could stencil, they could do what they want. But what we're gonna do for the bulk of the show really is to demo like how to use stuff on, like these were like my old work tennis shoes, and one morning I wanted to just kind of jazz them up because they were so ugly and beat up, and I didn't like the color because I felt like they were kind of boyish. So I said, oh, I'll like, you know, put pretty colors on it, and then of course add the sparkles and stuff, and just changing out the laces makes a huge difference. So I told Katie to bring a pair of shoes and she could play along. So what did you bring, Katie?
All right, so I brought some flip-flops that I actually got from a wedding, have my initials on them, so I thought it'd be cute to maybe just put a pattern on them or something.
That's a cool idea. So you picked the houndstooth. We're gonna just play around with stencils. I'm gonna go, I'll do a pair of shoes again, or I'll just work on one shoe. And really any of the paints, I actually, for these, on my old shoes, and I've worn them and actually in the rain as well, because we were going through soccer season, and I've not had any bleed, any lifting. So really, I pretty much used like the botanical paints because I know those do stay put as well. I know you could, you know, probably have really good function with the APC paints that we have, like the all natural chalk paints. For your shoes, I gave Katie the cottage paint, the white, and then the botanical mulberry, which is the black. She was gonna do like an altering pattern. And I know those have a little more seal factor, because your feet, you know, they get sweaty and stuff, and you know, you're not gonna wanna top coat it, you're just gonna wanna let it go. So the other thing when you're using these stencils, you really wanna step it down. Like we have like little detail stencils. You know, you're not gonna be able to use like, you know, typically we have like these big mambos, and if you're doing small detail work on stuff like that, it's not gonna work. So Katie, you could kind of pick the size that you think. I would say you're gonna want like one of these smaller ones, okay? Okay. And then what I would give you too is, if you wanna keep something like this, that when you put it down, you know, I would have it, you know, hold, you know, having it like here on your edge with one hand, just so that when you do start pounding, it doesn't go over. You don't risk going over if you feel like you're not going to be able to keep it in place. Okay. Okay.
So I'm going to put this pattern down at the bottom of my shoe and use this paintbrush, a smaller paintbrush, to get in there. And Patty suggested that I use this metal tool to help hold down the area I am focusing in on, so you don't get a bleed through the stencil here. And then I know I had brought some shoes that you told me wouldn't work well for this. So people should, if they're interested in doing this, they should primarily use a fabric type shoe like you have.
Like canvasy. I had thought if she could bring shoes, if she had them, like I had my old ones and they were beat up, it might be a way to kind of jazz them up and have them, you know, fun your shoes up. But she bought more of a running shoe, you know, like a Nike, more of that rougher leather canvas. I just don't know how that would wear. Plus, there's so many details on those shoes where the sides wrap, and then you got the puffy dots and the air holes. That
might be harder.
And those shoes are kind of too sporty and sophisticated to have like all the fun stuff on them, you know. But then she pulled out these cool flip-flops. Like I have these flip-flops, and that's very cool. So I'm excited to see what you do with that.
All right, awesome.
I just took a few of these colors, and I'm going to take some of your black too, just to change up these shoes, and we'll just get started and see. You know, I mean, this is like, you certainly wouldn't want to do something where you're going to go out and buy a bunch of stuff just to do it, because it would cost you, you know, if you bought like 10 different stencils and,
Yeah.
you know,
I could see it getting expensive.
5 different colors, but you know, if you have stuff left over, I mean, geez, some people even kind of make their own stencils. You can use, you know, I even have them here, I can show them. They're like little stickers that had open letters where you can kind of use those. You can kind of use whatever you want. And if you catch it quick enough, like if you do something and you really don't like it, you could get out a soapy rag and wipe it off. But you know, once it does dry and set into that fabric, it's really hard to lift it.
Okay.
Yup, and get it off. Even when I did those shoes the first time, I changed it up and wanted to get rid of a word that I had put on, and I had a really hard time getting the whole thing to come off.
Okay, yeah, so these paints are pretty permanent.
Well, when they soak into, yours might not, you'd probably have more ease getting it off because it's going onto like a slippery or like a rubberier surface, but when it soaks into like a fabric, it's pretty hard to kind of get it out, you know, once it settles in, unless you caught it right away.
Okay, great.
Now, did you peek through it and see? Oh yeah, there you go. You're probably gonna have to,
So here's a start of my design. I'm a little messy with it, but I'm gonna do white and black and continue it up the shoe. So we're actually gonna go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna finish painting the shoes we're both working on, and then we're gonna use some rhinestones and some gems to spice them up, and we'll make some awesome shoes. So stay tuned for more Shelby DIY.
My name is Cheryl Steinhurst. My husband and I are owners of Steiny's Tavern. We're located on the northwest corner of 25 Mile and Shelby Road. We offer a unique dining experience from our restaurant to our off-site catering. Everything we make is from scratch. We utilize Michigan-made products whenever possible. We're open 7 days a week. We offer daily lunch and dinner specials, and we carry the most craft beers on draft in all of Macomb County. So plan on coming out to Steiny's Tavern, where you come for the food and stay for the party.
okay, we're back at Shelby DIY, and our shoes are pretty much dry, so we are gonna finish decorating these. But first, I was gonna just jump back to this chair pad that we had painted, and it is dry. And just to show you, because I'm not gonna keep this, obviously, but you know, if you wanted to take it a step further and you wanted to, again, take a stencil, because those can kind of help, you know, make anything pretty. You know, you could do the same kind of thing. Take a color, you know, alternate color that you want. You could do your stencil, you know, and have that go across your whole chair pad. You could just do one thing, whatever you want. Let that dry. And then for this one, what I would do is I was just going to put a wax. American Paint has a really nice clear wax. It's a soft wax. It'll give this extra protection. And you would just, you know, get it on your brush, and you would just do a soft scrubbing to kind of work it into that whole pad, you know, your surface. You can see where you're going as you go. You'd cover the whole thing. It's not really going to change your color up, and then you would just take a soft cloth and wipe the excess off. And then you just kind of let it dry up, and the wax will actually give it even a little bit more of a soft effect. You could also use, like I've used American's Top Coat, which will seal it up nicely, and that's what this other one was done with. So, you know, fabric stuff, it's a great way if you have a cute little stool, stuff like that you want to do, to just, you know, economically, instead of going and trying to reupholster it. So back to our shoes. Katie's got to start on her pattern. Yeah.
Yes. I've noticed that you do not need a lot of paint at all. It really can easily bleed through the stencil. You really have to hold it down. And honestly, a dab of paint would do this entire shoe, basically. So I got a nice little pattern here. I'm gonna finish the pattern going down on the other side, and then we're gonna jewel them up and make them all pretty.
And I played around on this while we were waiting for everything to dry, just added a few little patterns. And these were those little stickers. I actually found them at Meijer. Oh my gosh, scrapbooking stores would probably have a gazillion of those to pick from. But you know, this, I did it on the other shoes, gives you that cutout, and you actually can use like a thicker medium. And this is like a cool metallic-y, pewtery color. And these are those acrylic waxes that we have. And same kind of thing, we've done this how many times here, but if you just use something, actually I could even use my finger for that matter, probably give me more control because it's such a tight space. But you can do cute little raised designs too. It just depends on how much time you want to put into your project and what product you have left. Okay, but I could do that, and then I would peel it right away and let it dry. So just another cool way, and that's what I did on these.
Close look at the shoe.
And I mean, they don't come off. This was in the gold. I did like the Believe. So it just gives it a little bit, it's got a little raised thing to it.
Of a 3D effect.
Yeah. So
Very
it
cool.
makes it a little fun. And then as Katie found, like not having to use much of the paint, in your project, the same thing, when you're using stencils and you're going onto something like a shoe, you really just have to kind of hold it as you're going. You're not going to have a flat surface and she's fighting going around the rungs and stuff. Yeah. So, you just have to, you got to compromise with stuff like that. This isn't even touching flat because there's the seam. So you just barely any paint on your stencil brush and you just pounce directly up and down through your pattern. And you have to just hold it. I'm holding it through the shoe, kind of bending it as I go. I mean, that's, about how you work with that. So it's not going to lay down perfectly like this, and you can do a stencil. If you're going to go on to things like this or, anything from shirts to decorative pieces, you have to kind of just work with it, hold it, bend it, move it, and then don't have much on your stencil brush. On my other shoes, while Katie's working on hers, I even took the paint, and I painted the tongue because I didn't like the tongue color. So, you can even do it, how simple that is right there. Just to get in there, with a little brush and, stick your paint. So, you could paint your whole shoe if you wanted, if you couldn't find, if you needed them. Let's say if your daughter was going to prom or homecoming or whatever, and they have a long dress and they want to have some cute little shoes, and a lot of them wear these decorative little cute sparkly tennis shoes.
Yep.
And maybe she wanted to have it match and be really cool. I should have thought of that for my daughter, because she could have had like the coolest shoes around where they matched the color of her dress. But you could get like a simple cheap pair of tennis shoes that you found, paint them up, paint everything, leave the rubber. It just soaks in really nice. And I'm not even going to top coat this, honestly. But the other nice thing we have, and this has been like my new find, that I spray everything. Even sometimes we've sprayed ourselves just because we feel kind of sparkly that day. But these are like this really fine spray glitter, and I've gotten them at Michael's. They've got like all the colors. They even have them. I found them at Meijer's even, and they come in iridescent, silver, gold, and they're just really. If I took it and I sprayed, let's see, this one's iridescent, okay, but if I just spray something, I think you can see, it gives it like a cool all over glitter effect, and that stays put for quite a while too. I'm still looking on these shoes, and I can see that they have that shimmer sparkle to them. So you got to be careful where you do spray that, because it leaves like a tacky residue. So you don't want to be spraying it where you have carpet or your good floors, because it sticks down and it has like a adhesive in it. How's yours going?
Mine are going pretty good. I'm trying to get a...
Oh, you're rocking and rolling on it.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm trying to get a decent amount of design so I can show it. Oh, got some white in there.
Yeah, I gotta decide where else I wanna do something here. Maybe I'll do one more word.
Okay, so I'm getting a pretty decent design on the bottom of my shoe. So I'm gonna go ahead and maybe I will add some jewels, maybe to the K.
Want to do it to the K?
Not to the bottom, that would hurt my feet.
That would not feel good. What color do you want? There's like these iridescent ones. Those are kind of grayish.
Yeah, let's do the gray. Let's keep with the color.
These are blackish, like that.
Oh, cute.
There's all different colors.
So now with these, what's the rule with these? Do they need a certain type of glue to stay on?
Well, yeah, we usually the crystals are on everything here just because I just love them. I mean,
Yes,
they're just so
they're
much fun to
cute.
add sparkle. And we use the E6000. We actually even have it available on little mini tubes for people. The hard thing with glues like this, just so you know, they're really, really difficult to control the amount that comes out once you open a tube. So, you know, I tend to like the smaller tubes to work with because once you open it, you can't stop that oozing, and it's hard to get the top off. And I honestly eventually just start poking holes in the tube when I need to use it more and squirt the thing and have it come out, and then that hardens, and then next time you need it, I just poke another hole and use it because it's really hard to get it out the top. See, this is already thickened.
Yeah.
But the E6000 is really, really a nice glue. And that you'll just have where it comes out, and you're gonna use, what you'd wanna use is a little, you could use this actually. Usually we'll use like a little toothpick, and you're gonna wanna set, you know, just like a little dot, like a pinhead dot. You know, you'd wanna actually put it down on your, where you place it, the glue. No, the glue.
No, the glue?
Yep,
Okay.
put the glue dot where you wanna have it on your shoe. Yes. And then, and you could have used this, which helps you pick that stone up.
Oh.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're hard, especially if you have fingernails, which I don't. But that's like a great way to set that. And you know, that was fun too. I mean, that really sparkled up my shoes.
That's a cute idea.
I will say I put them on the back. You know, I had them on the back, and I find that I'm somebody that like kicks my shoes off by using the other, you know, your other foot and jamming them. So now that bothers me that I can't do that because I'd probably lift them. So we'll just kind of, is that little poker holding it, getting it good?
Yep.
Yeah, that works
It
nice.
is. It's a good idea.
Yeah, and then once these set, I mean, you just, you know, let it dry, and then you're good to go. It just adds a little bit of shimmer. I mean, you see that so much in the stores now. The same thing with like laces. You know, you could use, there's so many decorative ribbons out. And I love all the ribbon. I buy too much of it and then I don't use it because I don't know what to do with it. But so now we get it, and when somebody buys something and we wrap it, we just put like pretty ribbon on it because it's so affordable too. But they even have like these nice little, you know, lace patterned ribbons. So, you know, I'd probably use this one because it's white, you know, and you would, you know, feed it through. And, oh, and actually what I found when I did my shoes, I just fed it through. I taped the edge. And then again, when I was at Meijer, I told Katie, I found these little shoe, whatever you call them.
Yeah, the ends to make it.
Yeah, the
make 'em
little
weave better through the
ferrets,
hole.
they call them.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you know, they even have like, I mean, this was probably not even a couple bucks. And, you know, you can stick them right on your lace and it helps you feed the stuff through. So
Very
somebody's
cute.
thinking, I mean, you know, you could use pearls. You could, I mean, and boy, you know, if you had like, you know, whenever your wedding down the road will be, you could do some cool stuff like that to just,
Yeah.
you know, punk up some of your accessories and stuff.
Yeah. It's
Ooh, did
definitely
you
very
get it?
fun.
Ooh, look
yeah.
at you.
So I just put some rhinestones on the K. What's the best way to see that?
That looks good. Now, you could wipe this off. I would get, maybe when we're done, we'll get like a little brush so you can get some water on it and clean that off because you'd want to do that before it really sets up.
Okay.
Because, again, you have that slipperier surface. Yours is easier to get some of the stuff off. But once it does set, you know, you should be pretty good where you're not going to have, unless you went into water and your feet are soaking wet the whole day, then you're probably going to, I don't know what would happen. But
Yeah.
on these, I know.
It might wear off a little
Right, I'm not even gonna put a top coat on this. I'll be good to go. So
Yeah, definitely flip-flops are a little different than
Yeah.
the shoes since your foot is wearing against the paint. But yeah, this is definitely a very fun summer project. If you have some old shoes around the house that you want to do this to, this is kind of an end result of a shoe. She put some words on there, believe, life, some rhinestones. And like she said, this was an old worn pair of shoes. So I mean, she just wanted to jazz them up a little bit.
Yeah,
and
which is
give
fun.
them some flair, and it's a lot of fun.
And that's big right now and for summer too. And really, you know, even with like you had with the flip-flops and the canvas, I mean, this is really a good example. You know, this has the canvasy, you know, how many of those flip-flops you see that have like that type of strap,
Yep.
not the rubber.
Yep.
And I mean, that paint just soaks in. This doesn't even look like it was painted on. Honestly, this just went on that so nicely. It just looks like a linen, kind of a silky linen fabric. But I mean, that was just so easy, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, just to be able to change things up, and it's still a real cool, functional box. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's nice, and I could put a different. Again, we could do it like the shoes, where there's a different pattern here. Could do something else on the back. You could have kids and have it say, you know, messy time or clean time or something, or you could name your child. I mean, there's so many things you could do. You know, there's letter stencils, and you could even get the affordable ones that are made out of cardboard. You just have to be more careful with them, you know, and spell out your child's name or your family name or, you know, stuff like that. So
Yeah, so there's a lot of fun ideas. Find some old stuff around your house to redo and refurbish this summer. And that's all the time we have for this episode of Shelby DIY. I'm Katie Schmatero.
And I'm Patty Henning.
And we'll see you guys next time.